Subject link level 9. Chapter 4, Language. Social Studies. Unit 13, The Evolution of Language. Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode on the channel, and today we're talking about the evolution of language. And so how about we get started already? So how we get started? Alright. Anyways, about the evolution of language. The evolution of language, how languages change and die over time. Now, you might think that only humans, living things, evolve and change and eventually die unless we have a hypercrystal that can help us survive for a very long time or live forever. But however, it's pretty much like that hypercrystal that languages actually are that hypercrystal to us. However, it eventually, like all things, it eventually just disappears. It's gone. Right there. Right there. And will eventually just wither away, just like how languages is. And languages actually are like a crystal in some ways. But it's pretty much different if you ask us with all those hyper stuff in the world. However, as we know, it's pretty much really complicated stuff. And so we don't actually do these too much. And so how about we talk about the evolution of languages first? Firstly, language evolves because of these two different concepts. Where, like, let's say that there are two people getting on a nice walk. One person just starts thinking of, hey, how about we add a new language to... How about I add a new language to the new system? And he's like, okay. And so then they started creating a new language, such as misses, like MS miss, not like miss, MISS miss, or MRS miss. Instead, they just create this one called miss, MS miss, where it just doesn't tell us if it's literally a male, literally married, or not married. Yeah, actually. And so it's pretty much like that. Once it's done, however, it's really in the language. Also, sometimes new inventions are made, and that's actually how some of these stuff come to life. Well, new words come into the English language or any other language because of new inventions, such as television. Or even the telephone, and yeah, a lot sorts of stuff. Even the light bulb, except light itself. Lava mode discoveries. Even the first time we ever found crystals and we named it crystals, pretty much crystals. So every word evolved eventually. Sometimes you remember, like in the olden times, it was like really bad spelling of language. Like we don't actually wrote language that way, like the way we did today. Well, it's also like that sort of. And now about the extinction of language. For the extinction of language, it's pretty much obvious that it's out of this world. How languages get extinct is that there's this last person who speaks the language, and once wait a minute, please. But once that thing is pretty much gone, like let's say that this is his life source. That's all, okay. And so it just starts draining and draining and draining. Eventually, to get after into this much stuff that it explodes, and boom, he's dead. And he's the last speaker, and he didn't teach anybody else about his language. So that's a bad idea. But once the last speaker dies, so does his language. So that's the problem. If he dies and he's the only one who knows his last language, it's pretty much gone. And the way to actually just survive a language is to actually learn the language itself. Well, anyways, it's pretty much like that. Once the language is learned, you're actually helping preserving it. That's what Google is actually doing. Even Google itself is starting to actually just preserve all this language stuff. Because pretty much soon you can actually just learn language by just going onto this website called the Endangered Languages Project. It's basically a website where you can just go to, have like a lot of the other social media. You can just chat on people's stuff and do all the stuff you actually want to do on, I don't know, stuff. You also just talk with your own language here. it just seems pretty good to do that because it's very much speed stuff. Because once we lose our language, we might never have it back unless the whole inscription we have it with that language has some instructions on how to read it in other languages. And so just go to endangeredlanguages.com and boom, you'll be able to go and learn a new language. That's actually the best way you can do stuff, actually. Also try to observe how you use the language yourself. And so that you can learn also new languages. And so I guess I should end this episode here. Even if you did not learn anything new in this episode and you learned everything here already, well, still, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell me what you learned in the comments below, and I will see you in the next episode. Shinhan out, and peace. La 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 la.